Daniel's Story, Chapter 8. The next picture is one I took in May 1944. Rosa and Erica stand in front of their sewing factory. I had to take it quickly and when no one was around, as by then owning a camera in the ghetto was illegal. Rosa and Erica made uniforms for German soldiers. I still worked at the metalworks factory where I'd been placed in an apprenticeship program. First, I'd learned how to strip any machine that came into the workshop, and then I'd learned how to put it back together. Others there made pails or watering cans. One evening in May, when we were at one of our youth meetings, Rosa began to tell us of the corruption in the soup kitchens at her factory. "We get a bowl of soup at lunch and an extra one later," she remarked. "There is so little in it that we are just filling up with water. Or it is so disgusting you can't eat it. What is the soup like at your plant, Daniel?" "Pretty terrible," I admitted, "but there are potatoes and carrots in it, and occasionally a small meat ration." "You see? I knew it!" she exclaimed. "I'm sure the staff is pilfering the good vegetables, and all we get is some turnip tops and potato peels." She paused. I knew that pause well. She was not just daydreaming, she was planning. "Well, I don't think this can go on. I, for one, will refuse to eat it." "You'll refuse a meal?" one of the others questioned, astonished. "You can't afford to. You'll get too weak, working all day on an empty stomach." "I can't afford not to," she replied. "Already many of the workers are unable to carry on. Hot water is of no use to us." No, this is the only way. News had a way of traveling in the ghetto, not by telephone, but by word of mouth. The next morning, we heard that the workers at Rosa's sewing factory had refused their soup, and as a result, the ringleaders, including Rosa, had been fired. This was really serious. Everyone knew that if you didn't have a job, you would be the first one selected for a transport. Quickly, I organized a meeting of the young workers on our floor. I suggested that as a gesture of support, we send the workers at the sewing factory soup from our kitchens. Solidarity was our only hope. After all, what if the people in our kitchens tried to cheat us? Wouldn't we want the support of workers in other factories? They all agreed, and a few boys and I took the soup over. This really upset the director of the factory, but it gave the workers there a terrific boost. They ate our soup, then declared that they would go on a hunger strike until Rosa and the others were rehired. Later I learned that Erica had organized this plan of action. Erica! Management was furious and wouldn't give in at first. But after 2 days they rehired Rosa and her friends and established a committee to oversee the kitchen workers and to make sure that all the food that was coming into the factory stayed there. Rosa was ecstatic. "You see," she said to Erica and me as we sat in the courtyard together, "we just have to stick together. Daniel, you would have been so proud of Erica. I understand she even gave a speech." "Erica, is it true?" I asked. "Did you?" "A little speech," Erica smiled. "Sometimes a few words is all it takes." Well, if anyone understood that, Erica did. I gave her a big hug. "I'm so proud of you," I said. She actually blushed. Rosa sighed. "All this struggle," she said, "and for what? I still believe that they'll try to kill us all before the war is over. They're going to lose, we know that now from listening to your radio, but I'm just as sure that they'll kill as many of us as they can before the end. At least that way Hitler will feel he's accomplished something. He may lose the war, but Europe will be free of Jews. I've heard rumors that they're going to destroy the entire ghetto, deport everyone. Daniel, you have to promise me that if anything like that happens, you'll go into hiding. After all, where will they send us? Somewhere better? I don't think so. And what could be worse than this? Only death." I stared at the ground for a moment before I replied. "I can't promise," I said quietly. "If my family needs me, I must go with them." "What good will you be to them dead?" Rosa objected. But I couldn't give her the promise she asked for. Not with Erica sitting there, thin and pale, with the beginnings of a cough. Perhaps if I went with them, I could help. Good news and bad came together in the summer of 1944. First, Rosa and her family had to move because the Germans ordered a whole section of the ghetto closed down. It had some of the best apartment buildings in it, and everyone had to find a new place to stay. The bright spot was that we convinced Friedrich to move in with us. The rabbi moved in with another family, and Rosa and her family moved into the first floor room in our building. It made seeing each other much easier for us. And then in June we heard the news of D-Day, the Allied invasion of France, on our radio. We spread the word through the ghetto, and soon everyone was celebrating, right in front of the Germans too. No one cared, but the Germans were furious. They realized that the only way we could have found out was from the radios, and they started to search the ghetto for them. A number of people were arrested. They never even searched our apartment. We were lucky. But we were very careful from then on to listen only when we were sure no one was around who could inform on us. That was a wonderful day. Still, Rosa was convinced that our doom was still sealed. Erica was sure we would be saved. I wavered between hope and despair. In July, we heard that a coup against Hitler had failed. We were devastated, but it did give us hope to realize that some Germans were turning against their leader. The Russians were advancing, but was it fast enough? Because just as Rosa had predicted, the Germans ordered more mass transports out of the ghetto.